Okay, Rich, so what are we playing this week then?
So this week we're going to attempt to complete Phelios for the Sega Mega Drive. This is a shoot 'em up game released in 1988 in the arcades by Namco, and it was ported in 1990 to the Sega Mega Drive. Do you have any experience with it at all?
Never heard of it before.
No?
No.
Do you want to try it out then?
Yeah, let's go. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. You got to put it on advanced because you don't actually get all the levels on novice.
Okay.
Not that we would put it on novice anyway.
Never.
So it's a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up. If you tap the fire button, you just do like a normal shot. But if you hold the fire button down, you do a charge shot. You've got these options, sort of like they're basically the same as they are in Gradius. Really, they just sort of follow you around, firing off extra shots. The game has you playing as Apollo, who's trying to rescue his twin sister Artemis, who's been kidnapped. Effectively, the sort of the usual video game plot, really. So in the original arcade game, this level was actually full of scaling and rotation effects, very similar to the ones that were later seen on the Super Nintendo. Oh, did you die?
Yeah.
You know, this whole stage would be sort of turning around, and the bosses all scale up, they get bigger. They sort of move from the ground, like, you know, towards you and such. It's quite impressive for the time, but obviously the Mega Drive wasn't really able to recreate those types of effects. Yeah, and this boss, oh, forgot about that. This boss was also scaling and such in the arcade version, so it would sort of start quite low on the ground, and then it would, you know, get closer to the camera, so it get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You've got these little scenes between every level after the boss fight. A little bit of voice acting as well, isn't there?
Nice.
Oh, this section here, loads of bad guys come from behind you. You want to stay quite close to the walls when that starts happening, because they crash into them. And if one levels out directly behind you, then swap walls.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
I guess these guys are a bit of a problem
Pain,
as well.
yeah.
Aren't they? Nice one. These are nice sort of little scenes, really, aren't they?
Yeah. Good artwork. Wait a minute.
Apollo and his sister.
Ding 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 ding.
They seem like they're a bit close. Sort of Lannister's sort of close.
You're on one life already. Actually, that's what I gave you.
I was going to say. I don't remember taking any damage. Oof, nearly took some there. There's not a lot to this level, really, is there?
No.
It's basically just the same thing over and over. It's a dragon, then it's like 4 heads, and then it's another dragon.
Relatively monotonous.
Yeah, I had a bit of a roller coaster ride yesterday, actually, with oh, blast. Maybe I should be talking. I opened the game up to clean it, and I found out that it was actually a fake.
What, this one?
Yeah.
Oh shit. And so what did you do?
Well, I thought it was a bit odd because the game wasn't. I didn't think the game was worth any money, so I checked online, and it turned out that it actually was worth a little bit of money.
Oh.
But you know, given I didn't know that it was ever worth money anyway, it wasn't too much of a fuss for me. And then I found out the game wasn't actually a fake.
Oh.
And that Namco basically just used sort of cheap boards. So the boards that Namco use on their cartridges basically look like fake boards, essentially. So it all had a happy ending in the end. Effectively.
Oh, somebody should have died.
He certainly perseveres, this guy. Oh fuck, I'm gonna die. The spread was too shitty.
There you go. No wonder he's boning his sister.
Jeez. I quite like the sort of aesthetics of this level. I think this might be sort of my favourite level actually. It's nice. The music goes well with it. This level it's a real pain in the arse if too many of these stick around. You got to make sure you always lead it away and then shoot them off there.
I can shoot through the shots.
Yeah, but you end up having to shoot twice instead of once, and then you'll be screwed.
They're timing that very nicely, weren't they?
Yeah, I was timing it quite poorly as well. The thing is that the little guys that come down sort of knock you out of sync.
Oh God.
Look for the one with the eye on it.
That was easy enough.
Right, last level then.
Oh, lovely. Anything to remember?
Yeah, so you've got to spell out Phelios with like pickups on this bit.
Okay.
It's nothing important. Just pick up all of the pickups and you're sorted. And you got to destroy these things, sort of like in.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah, don't make sure you stay sort.
Thanks for telling me about the stuff that comes from behind you, dude.
Yeah, well, can't tell you, right?
You can. Pete. What's that give me then?
You need to spell out Phelios.
I know that, but what's it give me?
It gives you a light sword.
Ah.
Which means that when you charge up, you do this massive like beam attack. If you make a really small hole through it,
I don't trust flying through a tiny hole like that.
It would need to be like a one-shot width hole.
Yeah,
as
fuck
well.
that shit. Oh, I forgot about the hands. Right, do this one little hole shot then. Let's see it.
Yeah.
Can you be hurt by the green things?
Yeah.
Oh, very clever. Lucky too. Oh, he's so jammy.
Skill. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through it.
There's the S. You don't need to shoot now. Apart from get through this bit. Oh, okay. Okay, he's a big demon. How do you do him?
You just keep hitting him with charge shots, really. You get rid of these little guys first.
Oh, they're annoying. What are they?
I don't know, they look like little ninjas to me.
Oh, wait, your charge shot just kills his entire shot.
He keeps getting lower, and he does have a shot that gets through it as well. It's best to sort of stay to one side a little bit. Got to push him back at this stage here, really. Oh, I've only got one bleeding health. I'll probably end up bleeding dying right at the end after all this.
Probably. He's very aggressive now.
It's annoying.
I
could have easily done that if I had health. Yeah, so the guys appear on the left and then the right, and sort of symmetrically. And apart from timing this right, when he closes his wings, it's sometimes best to stay slightly off centre, because occasionally he fires straight down the middle.
Oh shit. That'll teach me for breathing. Oh shit. Oh. Fuck.
Done it. Nice one. You did it on your first go in the end, didn't you?
I wanted to do it with all my lives intact.
Yeah. What's the ending we got then?
She's just going to blink at us.
I think there's more to it.
I really hope so. This ending's alright here.
Yeah, it's not bad. Sort of riding off into the sunset.
Okay, Richard, what do you think of the game then?
Well, this game, I feel like it is a fun game, but the thing is, it doesn't really go the extra mile. If you don't have any other shoot 'em ups, then you'd get a lot of fun out of this game.
Yeah, definitely.
I think. It's just that it doesn't really do anything to set itself apart from the pack in a lot of ways. That's how I feel about it. You know, it's got. I tell you, one area where it does sort of excel is the presentation. That is probably, if there's one area this game excels at, that's where it is, because you got the cutscenes you got a cutscene at the beginning, you got a decent ending, and you between every level you have little cutscenes as well, sort of moving the story forwards.
Yeah.
So that is the area where the game is sort of somewhat above average. But where it comes to the rest, I feel like the power ups are kind of unimaginative a little bit.
They're very easy to get as well.
They do what they need to do, but nothing more.
Right.
You get powered up quite quickly.
Very quickly.
And there's no sort of choice with the power-ups, is there? You just sort of get the same ones, and then you'll pick up the laser beam, which was only used on one level.
One level got that, and that was really interesting. I wish they'd implemented that more and more levels, because you got that one level. You did have homers on a couple of levels, and you did have the bouncing chevrons at another.
Yeah, they're sort of all time limited, aren't they? So there's not really choice there. You get all of your weapons, then you pick up the time limited ones, they run out, and you're back to 2 options and 4 speed ups effectively. I mean, charge shot plus normal bullets, that sort of adds something a little bit in there. You got to think through that, but it's sort of a minor thing, isn't it? But I'd say that it does a reasonable job in all areas. It sounds good. The graphics are pretty reasonable as well.
Yeah.
You know, obviously it lost a lot of these rotation and scaling effects from the arcades, but that's to be expected. Maybe, I mean, it could have been put on a Super Nintendo or whatever. They might have been able to get a closer version to the arcades, but
I don't know. I don't think it would have made too much of a difference.
Yeah, it would have just been superficial, really.
Yeah.
It would be a superficial improvement. So, how do you feel about the game, then? Anyway,
Well, I do like the presentation. The presentation's really cool. It's good graphically, nice storyline, even though it's a bit incestuous, but you know.
well,
I think
Yeah,
they
that's a
did just
mistake
pick
there.
2 names out of the bat, though, and never mind. Gameplay wise, it's very basic. It's just very. We're not going to go and say, oh, look, we're going to amazingly stick extra weapons here, there, and everywhere for you. No, we're just going to do everything correctly. If this was your introduction to shoot 'em ups, you'd be very happy with it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Because then you would only get improvements, and then it would get better and better
in
and better.
1990, this would look very good as a game as well. Graphically, it would be quite impressive. So you would be very happy with this game. I will say, actually, I was thinking while you was talking that maybe 1 or 2 of the levels had sort of basic design, didn't they? Do you remember that level that was just there was just sort of like a
The
dragon
lava level, dragon,
Yeah.
things flying down, dragon, things flying down,
That was
dragon,
sort of
things flying down. But
somewhat
then again, there are other
uninspired.
levels that made up for that, because there are things flying from behind you and things flying from the sides of you and stuff like that, and sideways movements. So I don't know, maybe they let themselves down a little bit with that one level.
I mean, they didn't put a lot of thought into the game design, I think. You know, that is a bit critical, but that is sort of how I feel.
That's
that
how it comes across.
They
yeah.
played a bunch of shoot 'em ups, and they just took elements from a few of them, and they didn't really do anything like, you know, themselves. They didn't add anything to the genre at all.
No, it doesn't add anything.
In
really.
fact, really, this is very similar to the vertically scrolling sections on Salamander and Life Force in a lot of ways. Because I'm thinking as well, those bubbles that you're shooting through, they're actually in Salamander, plus the options, obviously.
Yeah. So what star rating are you going to give it then?
I've decided that I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 because I think this is a good example of just a solid game that's fun to play, you know, but just doesn't stand out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, same here. It's basically average. It's across the board. We've done a good job, but we're not going to push ourselves. So another 3 out of 5 from me as well.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, that's Phelios for this week. Average game.
Yeah, I feel like we came across sort of hating on it a bit, but I do like the game, you know.
Yeah, likeable but average.
Yeah.
So that's it for this week. Catch us next week with another game, guys. Take care.
So yeah.